everyone. My name is Miss D, and I'm going to be your Storytime presenter today. We're going to talk about animals and read about animals during this story time. Before we do that, I want you to sing a song with me. And you will do the movements like I do. This is called Clap Your Hands. And it's called, you go, clap your hands, clap them just like me. Touch your shoulders, touch them just like me. Tap your knees, tap them just like me. Shake your head, shake them just like me. Clap your hands, clap your hands, now let them silent be. Do you know what that means? That means if you will sit quietly with your hands in your lap, that way everybody can enjoy the stories that we're going to listen to today. We're going to talk about animals today, and the first type of animals we're going to read about are animals on a farm. What kind of animals do you think you'll find on a farm? Cows and horses and pigs. Right, those are all good animals that you'll find on a farm. And I have this flannel board here of a farm, and as we see the animals that show up in our storybook, I'm going to put them on our board, and then afterwards we'll talk about them. Our first book is by Doreen Cronin and Betsy Lewin, and it's called Doobie Doobie Moo. And you might recognize some of these characters if you've read some of the other books that they've written, like Click Clack Moo, Cows That Type, or Duck for President. These are all really good books that these same ladies have written and illustrated. Farmer Brown keeps a very close eye on his animals. Every night he listens outside the barn door. Doobie doobie moo, the cows snore. Fa la 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 fa, the sheep snores. Wacka wacka quack, Duck snores. Duck keeps a very close eye on Farmer Brown. Every morning Duck borrows his newspaper. So let's find our duck. Let's see, here's our duck. One day in Farmer Brown's newspaper, an ad catches Duck's eye. It says, talent show, open to all. Where? The county fair. When? Saturday. First prize is a trampoline. Second prize is a box of chalk. And third prize is a veggie chocolate. As soon as Farmer Brown opened his paper, he knew that animals were up to something. How do you think he knew? Yeah, somebody cut a hole in his newspaper. Farmer Brown watched them closely all day long. He watched them from above. So what's that he's watching from above? Right, it's our cows. I guess our cow can be jumping over the moon. He watched them from below. Can you tell what he's watching from below? Right, it's our sheep. And he watched them upside down. What's he watching upside down? Right, the pig. There's the pig. Outside the barn, late at night, he heard doobie doobie moo, fa la 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 fa, wacka wacka quack. Inside the barn, the cows rehearsed Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. You know how Twinkle Twinkle goes? Doobie 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 moo, doobie moo 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 moo. Needs work, Duck noted. The sheep rehearsed Home on the Range. Ba 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 ba, ba la la ba la la ba. Duck had them try it again with more feeling. The pigs did an interpretive dance. Wacka wacka quack, snored Duck. Day after day, Farmer Brown kept a very close eye on the animals. He watched them from the left. Can you look to your left? He watched them from the right. Now look to your right. He even watched in disguise. Outside the barn, night after night, he heard doobie doobie moo, Ba la 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 la, ba. Wacka wacka, quack. Inside the barn, night after night, the animals rehearsed. Finally, it was time for the county fair. Duck was pacing back and forth. The pigs were combing their hair. The cows were drinking tea with lemonade. They are up to something, thought Farmer Brown. Farmer Brown was not going to leave them alone. He loaded all the animals into the back of his truck and drove to the fair. When he got there, he heard doobie doobie moo, ba la 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 ba, wacka wacka quack. He parked his truck and headed off to the free barbecue. When Farmer Brown was out of sight, the animals ran to the talent show desk and signed in. See, cows, sheep, and pigs. In fine print it said, contestants consent to the use of his or her name, photograph, and/or likeness for advertising and promotional purposes in connection with this promotion without additional compensation unless prohibited by law. The cows sang Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Remember how they did that? Doobie 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 moo, doobie moo 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 moo. Two of the judges were clearly impressed. See, they got an 8 and an 8.2 from two of the judges. The sheep sang Home on the Range. Ba, fa, la, la, ba, ba, la, ba, ba, la, ba, 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 ba. Three of the judges were clearly impressed. They got a 9, a 9.1, and an 8.9. It was time for the pigs' interpretive dance, but they were sound asleep. Snore, oink, 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 oink. All the judges were clearly annoyed. Duck really wanted that trampoline. He jumped on stage and sang Born to be Wild. Quack, 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 quack. The judges gave him a standing ovation. When Farmer Brown got back to the truck, he heard this. Doobie doobie moo, ba la la ba la ba, wacka wacka quack. The animals were clearly right where he had left them, right? That night, Farmer Brown listened outside the barn door, and he heard this. Doobie doobie boing, ba la 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 la, boing, wacka wacka, boing. What do you think the boing was? Duck won the trampoline. That's what the boing was. So we saw a couple of different farm animals in our book. We saw the cow and the pig, the sheep, and the duck. But did they make the kind of noises that you thought they would make? The cow said moo, but what else did it say? Right. We had some other animals that we could have seen on a farm. Does everybody know what these are? Chickens, right? And what sound do chickens make? Cluck, cluck, cluck. See, can you tell what these are? Horses. Horses are on a farm. What sound do horses make? Neigh, right? And here we've got 3 animals all together. We've got a duck, a cat, and a goose. And you might see those on a farm too. Next, we're going to look at animals in a zoo. So what are some of the animals that you might find in a zoo? Tigers, right? Bears, monkeys. So here is our board with our zoo animals. And when we come across these animals in our story, I'm going to put them on the board. But one thing to talk about before we get started. In our story, we have an animal called a tortoise. Does anybody know what other name a tortoise goes by? Right, it's a turtle. This book is called A Sick Day for Amos McGee, written by Philip Sneed and illustrated by Aaron Sneed, and it won the Caldecott Medal Book for the Best Children's Literature Book for, I believe it was 2012. Amos McGee was an early riser. Every morning when the alarm clock clanged, he swung his legs out of bed and swapped his pajamas for a fresh pressed uniform. He would wind his watch and set a pot of water to boil, saying to the sugar bowl, "A spoonful for my oatmeal, please, and 2 for my teacup." His belly full and ready for the workday, he'd amble out the door. Every day, Amos waited for the number 5 bus. "Next stop, City Zoo," the bus driver would call. 6 a.m., right on time, he'd reply. Amos had a lot to do at the zoo, but he always made time to visit his good friends. And there's our first glimpse of our zoo animals. Can you see our first zoo animal? Right, it's the monkey in the tree, so we put it right there in our tree. He would play chess with the elephant, who thought and thought before making a move. So here's our elephant. He would run races with a tortoise, who never ever lost. There's our tortoise. He would sit quietly with a penguin who was very shy. There's our penguin. Lend a handkerchief to the rhinoceros, who always had a runny nose. There's our rhinoceros. And at sunset, read stories to the owl, who was afraid of the dark. There's our owl. One day, Amos awoke with the sniffles, and the sneezes, and the chills. He swung his achy legs out of bed, curled them back up again, and said, "Ugh, I don't think I'm going to work today." Meanwhile, at the zoo, the animals waited for their friend. The elephant arranged his pawns and polished his castles. The tortoise stretched his legs and limbered up. The penguin sat quietly, all by himself. The rhinoceros worried that his allergies were worsening. The owl perched atop a tall stack of storybooks, scratching his head with concern. "Where is Amos?" the animals wondered. Later that day, here's what happened. What are they doing? Yeah, it looks like they're leaving the zoo. I wonder what they're doing now. You think they're waiting for the bus? I think you're right. There they are on the bus. Hooray! My good friends are here. They went to Amos's house. The elephant prepared a game of chess. Amos thought and thought before making a move. "I'm too tired to run races today," said Amos to the tortoise. "Let's play hide and seek instead." The tortoise hid inside his shell. Amos hid beneath the covers. Amos yawned. "I could use a nap." The penguin sat quietly, keeping Amos's feet warm. Achoo! Amos awoke with a sneeze. The rhinoceros was ready with a handkerchief. "I'm beginning to feel much better, thank you," said Amos to his friends. He swung his legs out of bed. "Perhaps we'll share a pot of tea." Amos wound his alarm clock. "It's getting late," he said. "After all, we have a morning bus to catch." So Amos said goodnight to the elephant, and goodnight to the tortoise, and goodnight to the penguin, and goodnight to the rhinoceros, and goodnight to the owl, who, knowing that Amos was afraid of the dark, read a story aloud before turning out the light. And there they are, sleeping till the next morning. So we saw several different zoo animals during that story. We saw the rhinoceros and the elephant, the penguin, the monkey. What are some of the other zoo animals that we might have seen? Right, here's a tiger. We could have seen a giraffe. What's the black and white one? A zebra. We could have seen a zebra. Or even a lion. Those are all some really great animals you might see in the zoo. The next story that we're going to talk about and read is about animals that you'll find in the ocean. have our board here that has all the different animals. So what are some of the animals that you might see in the ocean? Right, we just said octopus, or whale, or dolphin. And then there's other things besides animals that we see in the ocean. Does anybody know what this stuff at the bottom's called? Right, that's seaweed. We might see this thing in an ocean. What's that? A seashell, right. So as I reread our story, Fidgety Fish by Ruth Galloway, we'll put some of these things on our board. And right here from our opening pages, what do you see that we could put on our board? A fish, right. There's just a little fish. And our seashell, we can put him there. Tiddler was always fidgety. Do y'all know what fidgety means? It's when you can't be still, and you twist and you squirm. He wiggled and squiggled, he darted and giggled, until his mother got fed up with him. Go out into the sea and swim till you're tired, but watch out for the big fish, she said. So Tiddler swam out of his cave. Did your mother ever tell you that? Go outside and run around. Tiddler dived and he flipped, he leapt and he dipped. He sped faster than a rocket and glided gently like a swan, letting the sea currents fan his fins. But he still didn't feel tired. Alright, we can put another fish on our sea. There were limpets that clung and jellyfish that stung. Tiddler swam on towards the big red starfish. Our starfish isn't red, but we'll put him on here anyway. And butted it gently with his nose. The starfish just smiled, so Tiddler asked the clickety-clackety crab to play, but it scuttled off into the seaweed. We have a crab, so we can put him in our seaweed right there. Tiddler came to a big, dark cave. It looked much more exciting than his cave back home, and Tiddler swam in. What do you notice about that cave, though? Does it look right? It's got big eyes, doesn't it? Uh-oh, snap. Tiddler was trapped inside the big fish. Let's find our biggest fish. Put him right there. Tiddler trembled and shivered. He shook and he quivered. Can y'all shake and quiver? Until the big fish's tummy began to feel very funny indeed. It rumbled and it grumbled. It turned and it tumbled. It fluttered and groaned and mumbled and moaned. Suddenly, the big fish did an enormous burr. And then, whoosh, out shot Tiddler. Past the jellyfish and the clickety-clackety crab hiding in the weeds, past the starfish, and straight through his own front door. I hope you've used up all that energy, said his mom. But she would have to wait until the morning to hear about his adventures because Tiddler was already fast asleep. The end. We saw several ocean animals in there. We saw our fish and our crabs and our starfish. We didn't see this, right, our octopus, but we'll put him on our board. And what was this? A whale, that's right. Put our whale up here. What's this one called? Anybody know? A seahorse, right. We'll hang him out right there. Another fish. And what was this? Somebody mentioned it earlier. A dolphin, right. So the last thing that we're going to do today is we have a puzzle of some of the wildlife animals that we talked about today. You can stay and you can put together the puzzle, or you can play with any of our flannel boards, or if you need to leave, we've got some coloring sheets and some stickers to give out to you. Thank you very much for coming to our story time today, and I hope you've enjoyed our stories. Hope you come back soon. Thanks.